Well, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Paul. Thank you. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. Where in the world are you?
I'm in the north of Iceland. I'm in the middle of my horse trip across the country. So
Oh,
I found a little hut here which has a Wi-Fi. So yeah. So
well, we appreciate you joining us from the hut today. It's because we got to talk about this movie. It's so special and so sweet and so touching, and just you must be so proud of this one and ready for the rest of the world to see it, right?
yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful because it sticks out a bit in my filmography. I've made very different films, and this one was something was sitting inside my heart and wanted to get out there, and I'm really, also pleased that people are responding to it and it's starting its kind of globe trotting, which is not always given with those kind of little films and smaller films that are, actually it's not that small in the end of the day because it's really complicated, but it doesn't have the kind of a big budget and big studio push behind it. But it's a really a kind of a project of passion, and I'm grateful that people are responding to it.
Yeah, well, when people, of course, people love the book, but when a story like this comes along, you almost have to do this if the opportunity arises, right?
Absolutely. Like, it's answer the question, why did you do it? It's like, I had to. There was no, when you read something, my daughter gave this to me for a Christmas present, and I read it in less than 2 days. And I was like, I called the author the third day and said, do you want to work on this with me? You know, and I didn't even give him the option of not giving me the rights to the book. It's just a question whether he would write it with me or not. So then that's because you just have to do it. And it's also, even if it wasn't it didn't get the response it's getting, it's still, I would still be proud of it because it's something you have to do and you do it. And when you do something you have to do, that the outcome is a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and this the shoot itself, of course, seemed like it was complicated having to go back and forth at times and whatnot. But you probably have such special memories from the set. Is there a day or scene or time where you're just kind of looking around, going, "This is exactly how I pictured it when I read it."
The weird thing, is that it's interesting you ask that question because I have probably never been so, like, I knew exactly what I wanted, like in every, like, this is what it has to be. So it was very much like, but still it kind of surprises you. You were in a London suburb directing two Japanese people in a domestic fight, and you're like, what got me here? Or you have a train from 1969, you're running through London, or you're suddenly shooting in Hiroshima. Like, I mean, these things are, but it's also a gift. I think, and I've been very lucky. I was at the base camp of Everest, and I was pinching myself. People actually pay you for doing this, and now I get to go on this journey. I mean, it's hard work, but it's a really, I mean, it does give you a lot. So
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, and people look up to stories like this are inspiring for directors too. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who wants to follow in your footsteps and do this kind of thing?
if you can find a story that kicks into your instincts that you have to do it, it makes the job so much easier. And it's
Mhm.
it's not going to happen on every level. If you find it, just go for it. Go with your instinct. Don't think about how it's going to look in your filmography. What are the critics going to say? Just go. Let people figure that out later. I'm not diminishing any of that. That's their job. But my job, and I believe, I don't want to look at myself in the third person and decide from far away what I should do or who I am. I want to be. And being is to go follow your instinct and be in the moment. Like, so reflecting onto the world. So I often quoted Kislovsky. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm trying to have a dialogue with it. Like, I love that. It's just such a good way of saying what our job is.
I love that. Yeah. Well, my co-host Drew Pearson was one of our great Dallas Cowboys in American football, and he caught the Hail Mary, and we all know the Hail Mary term now. But he wanted me to make sure I asked you your Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you. What do you suppose that was for you?
Uh, my Hail Mary moment is probably when I did my first film, One on One Reykjavik, I don't know if you know this film, it was a black comedy. Yeah.
Mhm.
I acquired the rights to the book before it was published because it was actually happening in my own bar. I owned the bar, and the story was, not biographical, but it was really much around, what it was. And then the book was slaughtered when it came
Mhm.
out, and I hadn't shot the film, and it was just destroyed by critics. And
Mhm.
I said, "Fuck it, I'm making it anyway." And it's everything. It put me on the path that I got to make films for the rest of my life. Or to this moment at least. And that's kind of a Hail Mary, like I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna go out with a bang, or whatever it's gonna be. That's interesting. And I was actually turned around that the movie later actually research, like, brought the book back, and people started appreciating the book after that. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I love your outlook on things. Is there something that you keep in mind that kind of keeps you on the right path even when things are tough? Because you definitely have a vision and you're able to get it.
Well, it's about, what do you call it, when you wrap, there's a heat, right?
Mhm.
Resistance creates heat. And if you get into a tough, to go upstream, usually that's the best moment of your life when you are fighting from bottom up. It's not necessarily always best to be and trying to keep a position you are in. It's actually when you think you're down and out. That's when that's when the fighting spirit comes, and you actually, your instincts kick in. I actually, I'm Pisces. If that means anything to you, but it's like
Me
they
too.
swim up against the stream. So
Yep.
so I actually, I cherish, and I'm not saying this to be a bullshitter. I cherish the difficult times in my career because it usually brought me to do something better, and kind of look at the things, and understand, what, and sometimes it's not in your power anyway, so sometimes it's just the way the world turns.
Yeah, well, as a fellow Pisces, I got to say I love this movie. And last thing, what is it that you hope that people will take away from this? Because there's so much going on here. Depending on what you've bed through, you might get something different out of it.
I would say that maybe if it's one thing, so it's never too late for a closure. It's
Mhm.
never too late. Like you've done something on somebody, a part, or somebody's done something, or you had had closure. You can always, do it rather than go bitter to the grave. Like, just there is always that moment you can do it, whether you're 80 or 90 or 50 or 40, it doesn't matter. Just do it. If you feel the need.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a beautiful film. We're going to tell everyone to check it out. Really appreciate your time and the great answers today, and look forward to talking to you again soon and seeing what you got next for us.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Okay,
Great
thank you.
seeing you.
Appreciate you.